let's talk about setting intention. Yeah. Okay, so right now I did a complete, I do this all the time. I kind of break down my mental and just really try to not nitpick, but more so like analyze my flaws and try to amend them and use them to my benefit. Because it's funny, because I had this conversation with many people, many friends, and we all talk about the same thing. We see the flaws in our parents, we see the flaws in our environment, and we try to make the conscious effort to make that change and make a difference within ourselves. And in that same regard, we muster up the strength to create new flaws for our new personality that contrasts our environment. The character flaws that I try to amend is my complacency. My complacency is something that I've always been struggling with, from day one, honestly. Because I say my parents are pretty good. They were pretty good with raising me, I'll say. Because I was any child, in my opinion, is creative as long as you give them the environment for them to create anything. You feel me? And I was fortunate enough to have parents that were creative in some aspect and gave me creative tools to do what I want. I've always been building Legos. I've always been trying to create stories, and up until recently I started getting more into drawing, painting, video, photography, music, and all of that. But during those years, I've noticed the complacency that they've had and how much it really affects me, and then I adopt that complacency. But out of fear, I want to dodge that complacency. So in a way, I kind of work smarter to be complacent in some other aspects, but I have to just work smarter to rid myself of complacency. I don't know. It's a weird topic for me. I've been struggling with complacency for years, for many years. From the point that I've noticed that I was complacent, I'd say is 2020. 2020, I noticed I was complacent, even though I was in high school, and there's no real pressure to really grow up fast unless you're in a certain environment. But I was complacent then, and I didn't have a reason for doing certain things. I didn't have a reason for getting this thing or doing this or trying hard in school, or you feel me? So that complacency sat with me. But at the same time, I was also curating creative ideas. But through me not wanting to deal with the responsibility of certain things, I kind of skipped certain steps so I could go somewhere faster. But honestly, it made no sense because I still had to go back and learn those things. For example, I'm gonna use my comic. The comic I was making back in 2020, 2021 was an idea that I really love, and I am definitely going to revisit when I'm 50. But the idea was solid, but I didn't know how to draw. But I skipped the basic steps of drawing, and I just went in and just started drawing my images. And granted, I learned fast by just throwing myself in the deep end. But where it comes as a detriment is because I was afraid of being quote unquote complacent, and I mistook practice for complacency. And that was one of my biggest flaws, is that I skipped the foundational steps and went straight into posting this comic, even though the idea is perfect, or not perfect, the idea is good, the idea is great, but I missed so many fundamental things and understandings about how to storyboard, how to frame shots, how to have a consistent and good pacing of a story. and like that comic just fell short because of those things, and that was a form of my complacency disguising itself as productivity within my art. So come to nowadays, I've been working on a lot of projects with the intention of releasing them, but mostly out of the intention of healing some part of me. The songs that I've been dropping, and the songs that I'm going to drop. So my first song, the self-help channel, the Hue 3 songs, Shed Planner and Third Self, and the newer songs that I'm about to drop, Clear and Luck. Those songs are important in a way that they weren't an intentional idea I set out to do. They just kind of unfolded. Because like thinking back to like the beginning of my musical EP, Q3, the original idea for the EP was gonna be a single song, and then that song had like a fire title, which I'm not gonna disclose because I'm gonna use it. That song had a fire title, and then I was like, you know what, instead of just having it just as a song, I have that song as a title track for an EP. But then like going through that idea and fleshing it out, I was like, okay, it doesn't really have to be an EP, it can be an album, but I can't really drop an album without having like any other songs in my catalog. So then comes the time for me to like practice and make these songs, because I was already like freestyling a bunch. I was already like building beats, sort of like kind of good beats and stuff. And then come time to like make these songs, I just found like this one producer on YouTube and made a whole bunch of freestyles, and like probably 4 out of the 10 freestyles I've done to the beats, like 4 of those songs were like, okay, I can make something with that. And then I took it into like BandLab, and then I created those, and I really fleshed it out with like the limited material that I had, and I really like focused on trying to build something with intention beyond just saying I have this cool idea here. Like I'm tired of just saying I have this cool idea, let's execute it. I'm gonna just give something that's already executed, and this is my idea. So when I finished that EP, like it took months for me to like finish that EP, but not because I was complacent. It's because I was limited. And that was like the biggest and most important shift that I've felt in my creative career, because my entire battle of doing art and being like a responsible human being is me being complacent. I'm always dancing on like the fine line of being complacent and comfortable within my uncomfortable situations. And the EP was a switch. It was proof to myself that I can say, I have this intention, I'm gonna execute it at the highest degree that I can. And I was able to execute all that I wanted with limited materials. Like I didn't have like the right mic, I didn't have the right mic, I didn't have the right material, I didn't have the right knowledge about making music. I barely even knew how to like handle my cadence. But I still tried. I pushed really hard. And when I did put money into funding like those things, and then when people saw like my potential and they gave me things to help me like execute what I wanted to do, then those 3 songs became more than just the freestyle out of my phone. Going on to newer projects like newer songs, newer films, newer YouTube videos, new paintings. I just took that same idea of intention, and I'm really, really pressing for that intention because I'm tired of like dealing with the uphill battle of complacency. Because, like I said earlier, like when I had this conversation with my friends, we all have like some type of idea that we're trying to escape from our past, and it will always be a battle to follow those ideas.